Welcome to a 10-1-10 review. My name is Nessa and today I'll be talking about Farlands and how I felt after playing the game for 10 minutes, 1 hour, 10 hours, and 1 year in-game. As a person who does not have a lot of time to play games, I think that first impressions are important, and the first 10 minutes to an hour of a game should give you the basic rundown of what it has to offer. That being said, I also know that farming and life sim games might need some time to shine, which is why I think it's equally important to review the game at 10 hours and after a year in-game. How I feel at the 1 hour mark might change at 10 hours, and that could drastically change again after I've gone through an entire year in the game. I won't be rating Farlands on a scale, but I'll definitely talk about things I like and the things I wish it did differently, so you can make an informed choice on whether this game is for you. Thank you so much to the developers for granting me a key so I can review Farlands. So without further ado, let's get into it. Farlands, developed by Soft, is a farming simulation game set in outer space. In this game, you can farm intergalactic crops, raise a plethora of alien farm animals, explore different planets to gather resources, and catch interesting fish and bugs, upgrade your spaceship to make traveling a breeze, and build relationships with a quirky cast of characters that live on these different planets. Farlands is available for the PC and console and retails for $17.99 USD. I played Farlands on the PC for this review, so any mention of bugs or performance issue in the review is specifically for the PC version of the game. Congratulations, you are the proud owner of your very own planet. Once you've signed the paperwork, you're pretty much left to your own devices on how you want to live your life. Of course, there is an interstellar company with a very rotund boss named Gorman who is trying to take over small planets by bribing them, threatening them, and exposing the reasons why they're in the Farlands in the first place in an effort to intimidate them to move away. Though, in order to protect the planets, the mayor of Turbin is appealing to a higher species, the Empyrean, to be admitted to their planetary system protection program. However, the Empyreans are only inclined to do so if they receive at least 70% catalog completion of a planetary system's flora, fauna, resources, and artifacts. So that's basically where you come in to save the day, as you'll be tasked with gathering all the necessary items for the Empyreans and staving off Gorman's advances. Other than that, the game is pretty open-ended. In the first 10 minutes of the game, I was able to choose my appearance. Besides customizing your gender, the color of your hair, eyes, skin, and outfits, you're not really able to customize how your character actually looks. This is really unfortunate in the sense where I was hoping for more customization options, but I felt a lot better after seeing the beginning cutscene, where my character makes the choice to leave her dreary life in the city, my starship blasting into space, and the logo for Farlands prominently displaying. I land on my planet and meet with a who is pretty sketchy, but the planet is a really good price. He shows me around and asks me to sign some documents before the planet is mine. After that, he leaves pretty quickly, which is great because I have a lot of work to do, since the planet definitely has seen better days. It's overgrown with weeds, there are broken fences scattered around, and the trees and rocks are as far as the eye can see. So, of course, I get to work right away clearing out a little area to plant my seeds. The farming mechanic is pretty basic in Farlands. You till the soil, plant your seeds, and water them daily until they're ready for harvest. I plant my seeds and go to the crafting machine, where I'm greeted with a tutorial screen. Tutorials in Farlands are a combination of text and a cute little moving graphic. I'm really surprised at how detailed the moving graphics are. They make the tutorial a lot more entertaining since it really feels like the explanation is geared towards my in-game character and not me as the player. The crafting machine works pretty much the same as other crafting tables in farming sim games, where this is the hub of all the crafts that you can put together. The only different thing is needing to collect chips in order to have access to new recipes. These chips do take up a slot in your inventory, and you do need to physically bring them to the crafting machine in order to put the chips in, whereas other farming games allow you to use crafting blueprints and recipes straight from your inventory. I explore the farm a little bit more and find a kitty robot called P3T. Upon initialization, it starts scanning the area, and right after that, I get visitors on my small planet in the form of Larry and Barry. This is pretty much my first encounter with alien species, if you don't count the seller. Larry and Barry explain that they'll drop by my planet on specific days, and they carry some items that might be of use. I like that the traveling merchant in this game comes to you, instead of you having to seek them out. I bought some seeds and just worked on clearing out more space on my farm the rest of the 10 minutes. Upon the traveling merchant's arrival, you also learn that Farlands only has 3 seasons instead of the typical 4 that are found in other farming sim games. The farming mechanics, however, are still relatively the same. There are still seeds that only grow in specific seasons. It's just that the vendors in this game will sell you seeds for all seasons, so you do have to be on the lookout to make sure that you're not planting seeds that are not meant for your current season because they will wilt. This is a pretty good introduction to the game, and it allows you freedom pretty early compared to other farming sim games that might have a longer tutorial process. I do like that there's minimal hand-holding in the beginning, and the game seems interesting enough to keep going. I'm excited for my new adventures in Farlands, and I can't wait to see the other planets. So right after 10 minutes, I instantly faint from exhaustion. I am so used to newer farming sim games preventing you from using tools when you run out of stamina instead of causing you to faint and starting a new day right then and there, as is typical of older farming sim games, so I wasn't expecting it in this one. Yes, you definitely need to watch your stamina in Farlands, as you wake up with less than half of your stamina to work with the next day if you pass out. Luckily for me, there's rain on my planet the very next day, so I don't have to water anything. I spent some time gathering resources and then feeding them into my spaceship for fuel so I could travel to another planet. The traveling mechanic in this game is pretty interesting. Traveling to different planets will take time and fuel, and more is expended if the planet is farther than where you are. The first planet I go to is Turbin, which is the closest one in terms of the time it takes to get there compared to the other planets. I really like the different NPCs you meet on Turbin and the little 2D portraits that the main characters have when you talk to them. I'm treated to a cutscene with Turbin's mayor and our antagonist Gorman, who is threatening the mayor that time is running out. The mayor informs me of the Empyreans and their mission, so I get my purpose in the game about 25 minutes in. The Empyreans also introduced me to Robeats, their tracking technology that will appear if they deem you worthy, which basically means that if you do actions they like, such as chopping down trees or catching bugs, then you can collect them, and once you have collected 8 Robeats, you can exchange them to increase your stamina. After that, a little old lady in turban gave me a fishing rod and a bug net. These mechanics are pretty basic. You just press an action button to pull up a fish once you have it on the line. For bug catching, you have to get close to swing your net. However, if you're too slow, then the bug will escape. I spend the rest of my 1 hour just living my best farming life by expanding my area to grow crops on my planet, traveling in back and forth to Turbin, and even attending my first festival. I wasn't expecting to go to a festival so quickly. However, the game does go by rather quicker than other farming sim games due to the frequency that you're traveling between planets, which really eats up most of your daytime. In Farlands, the first festival you encounter is on Turbin for their annual First Rain Festival. Here, you'll be able to enjoy the water drop themed decorations and watch the first rain as it fills up one of the big fountains in town. There are themed items that you can buy from a vendor, but there's no specific mini games that you can partake in for these festivals. By the end of the 1 hour, I had successfully made it to another planet that varied greatly from the desert vibes of Turbin. Now I was in a rainforest biome with spiky trees and interesting frog people. I am totally enjoying the planetary exploration of this game, and I can't wait to explore the further planets to see what I find there. My goal is to get more resources so I can make that an actuality once my spaceship is upgraded. Right now, the farther planets are a big time sink and a big fuel dump, so they're not really worth it to go exploring quite yet. I was feeling good at the 1 hour mark, despite having to really juggle my time of whether I wanted to go to a new planet or stay back on my own planet so I can water my crops. Since I'm just starting out, stamina is definitely a big concern of mine, as well as making it to bed before the end of the night. Usually, I don't have this issue in games, and this factor definitely makes Farlands a little harder in the beginning comparatively to other farming sim games, in my opinion, since you do have to travel to different planets for their resources and also just to buy more seeds. Staying solely on your own planet isn't that thrilling since it is really small and there's just not much happening on it right now. I'm hopeful that this issue will resolve itself as I upgrade my spaceship more, and I was blasting straight into the 10 hours. The trials that I went through for about 3 hours after the 1 hour mark is solely my fault, but also the planet that has specific resources that I needed is a moon to Gallia, and I totally thought it was not traversable. Once I did figure this out, I was able to get onto Bohr proper and get materials needed to upgrade my tools and spaceship, making it quite easy to travel around, if only by a little bit more. I love the animations in this game for the upgrades, whether it's your tools or your house or your spaceship. The craftsmen who work on the upgrades have such amazing animations that you cannot help but feel the amount of love that was put into this game. It's just so overly ridiculous and totally creative to see. Yes, I don't have the ability to change my hairstyle or what I wear, but I do have fantastical animations of my tools getting upgraded, so I guess that's the trade-off. Before making it to the moon of Bohr, I was able to access Hafnir, the mining planet, pretty fast, where I can get some basic materials even though it was a bit farther away and would take me pretty much sleeping in my ship and suffering the half stamina penalty the next day because I couldn't make it to my planet in time. The mining in this game works basically like others in the genre, where you mine rocks which have a chance to spawn a ladder that will take you to the next floor. In this game, however, you can also collect scrap metal that can be used to fix up the minecarts so you can return to a lower level easier. The scrap metals are pretty easy to find and are randomly generated on a floor, so going deeper into the mines isn't as difficult as other games. There are also enemies that you can encounter in these mines, but there is no actual combat in the game. Instead, you have to use your tools to drive them away, and I do like this premise since some enemies, such as the fiery ones, are repelled by your watering can, and other enemies are repelled by other tools. You just have to be smart and figure out which tools work on which enemies. You only have to use your tools once for the enemy to retreat, so it's not like you're whacking something multiple times with your pickaxe or your watering can as though you were in combat. I do like that once you find a specific resource, they will be available to buy at various vendors. I've been able to get materials to upgrade my tools and ship by buying what I need, instead of having to return to the planets where the resources are on, unless I want to save money. I started making sprinklers as well during this time, so I was able to increase how many crops I could have at my farm. Even though I did make a lot of money though, the upgrades do become increasingly expensive, so I never felt as though I had too much money to break the game. Befriending the locals on various planets is quite different in this game compared to the usual fare in other farming sim games, where you have to talk and give gifts to NPCs daily. Although you can still give gifts to the NPCs in Farlands, your interactions with them are not always successful. There's a chance of success whenever you choose to talk, joke, or flirt with them. The higher your friendship level with the person you're talking to, the higher the chance of the action succeeding. There's still a small chance that your flirting will be successful while you're strangers, but it's a higher probability of success if they like you. You can have interactions with NPCs up to 3 times a day. There are romanceable cutscenes as well, so you can get to know the characters a little bit more, and I've been enjoying the diversity in romance options in this game. There's a wealthy guy that wants to help the community, a frog person that yearns for travel, a lizard rancher guy, and even a blacksmith lady who I think is adopted, but I'm not 100% sure at this point, just to name a few. Depending on your luck, relationships can develop quickly, which fits with how quick the speed of the days and seasons are as you're constantly traveling around and burning daylight. Unfortunately, even though I set up an area on my farm for ranching, purchasing animals has not unlocked for me during the 10 hours. The ranchers alluded to me being able to buy animals after the breeding season, but I have no idea when that is, and I have a suspicion it might be the following season after this review concludes, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get animals in time. Spoiler alert, I did eventually get animals on my farm, but not actually during this review period, despite it being available right when you buy the animal barn. I had no idea that you can just go into the animal barns and order an animal from the terminal, because the ranchers where you buy the animal barns from kept having dialogue that would suggest to me they were going to sell me an animal in the future, so I kept waiting to see when that was. I think that once you purchase an animal barn capsule, it would really help the game to have a pop-up tutorial to let you know that animals are available for purchase inside of the barn terminals. The tutorial does trigger when you enter the barn itself, but if you were trusting that someone else would sell you animals eventually like me, that might not happen as soon as you wanted to. Taking care of animals in this game is pretty standard, so I did want to mention that there weren't anything extremely unique about it in Farlands beyond how the animals themselves look. I made it to winter 17 in the 10 hours, and I'll most likely be finished with the year in 1 or 2 more hours. I was having a really fun time, and I think that because because of the shorter days and ability to get resources that you need from vendors, the game never feels too grindy while I'm playing it. I feel like my progression after finally figuring out that I can make it to Boar was moving along at a good pace, and I always had a goal to work towards, whether it was to make my life easier by upgrading my tools and ship, or trying to get to the farther planets so I could find new items to donate to the Ark. I never felt as though I was overwhelmed with tasks or made to do anything that I didn't want to do. After completing the 10 hours in Farland, I was eager to finish out the year. I finished up Farlands after almost 13 hours. The rest of the time was spent going to the bottom of the Borean mines to see what was there, and then developing more of my relationships with potential romanceables, since there isn't a guarantee that you will increase your relationship with the NPCs, since the interactions are luck-based. And I swear I get misses more often despite having more than 80% probability of succeeding. I was able to develop relationships with some NPCs that I really didn't consider, and through those cutscenes, have become quite attached to them. I'm actually quite surprised at how deep the cutscenes are, with each of them being more complex than they would appear on the surface, due to how silly the game seems. The cutscenes definitely made me think about the romanceables in a different light, and I couldn't wait to learn more about each one of them. It also made me see other characters in a different light as well. Some characters that I didn't like in the beginning would explain their actions during these cutscenes, and you can sympathize a bit with what they're going through, even if you don't agree with their approach. I couldn't wait to see more of a character, and definitely didn't mind continuing to play in order to increase those relationships. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get married to anyone in the first year, and like I said in my 10-hour section, I didn't manage to start ranching. With that in mind, let's talk about the things I like and the things I wish the game did differently. The animations in the game are so top tier. I love going to the tavern just to watch the characters that show up, or enjoy the cutscenes of my tool and ship getting upgraded. These things definitely take time to do, so I really appreciate that the devs went out of their way to make the universe really quirky and interesting. There's a lot of Easter eggs hidden in this game as well, so I love coming across characters that I might recognize in other media. I like exploring different planets and collecting items to donate to the Ark. I appreciate that the game has a little indicator in your inventory so you can see whether you've donated the item already as well. Since this is the main focus of the game, I also appreciate that the game rewards you whenever you hit a milestone, and you even get a story-related cutscene. So it does feel like the story is advancing, but only at the pace that you're able to get the collectibles. I absolutely adore the characters in this game. The cutscenes are really well done, and I love the resolution to some of the storylines that I've seen so far. I really feel like I'm getting to know the person more and being with them through their struggles. I would definitely say that Farlands did a wonderful job of showcasing their cast and making you care about them. This probably also helps motivate you to care about saving the planetary system, since you want to make sure that the people you love can continue to live their lives on their respective planets. I do wish that the crafting bench would pull items from your chests. This is more of my own want, since I've been incredibly spoiled by other farming sim games that have this feature now, and I really think that all farming games should have this quality of life improvement. I also wish that there were more customization options in the game. The game does give you a big house to decorate with, but the items that I've been able to accumulate so far are basic furniture sets that don't really help me fill out the space as nicely as I want. There should be more decorative furniture and knickknacks, and I would love to have an expanded variety based on the different planetary styles. I also wish that I could have customized my character a little more in the beginning, or at least gotten some more clothes options to distinguish myself from other players. I think the game would benefit from having the animal tutorial earlier once you purchase a barn capsule, instead of having it when you enter the building for the first time. Since there's conflicting dialogue with the ranchers concerning how you actually get animals, I would say that this tutorial is definitely needed, so you don't end up like me wondering when the breeding season is and then missing out on getting animals the entire year you've been playing. Alternatively, I think that the ranchers could just not reference the breeding period, since I still don't know what that's about, and then maybe they can give you a hint that you purchase animals from the terminals in your barn capsule. I would love a description for the crops to let me know if they are multi-harvestable or single harvest crops. Sometimes I'll be planting crops and don't realize that I can harvest them for an entire season afterwards because there's no descriptors. Also, speaking of crops, sometimes I accidentally untill the soil, but the crops do not disappear. I'm wondering whether this is a bug or whether it's intended, since I was also able to to just continue watering the crops with my sprinklers and harvesting them after this happened, so it really didn't seem like they needed soil to grow at all. I also wish that there were more planetary systems to explore. I thought that there would be more civilization on other planets, but unfortunately Turbine and Gallia are the only two planets where you actually have a hub of people who live there, so I would love to see other settlements on different planets as well. I definitely enjoyed my time in Farlands, especially since I came in with zero expectations. I knew it was a space farming simulation game, but I didn't know that I was entering a world where I would be developing wholesome relationships with the people of various planets that I've visited and making this planetary system my home. I definitely am going to be playing a bit more Farlands to see the outcomes of the other storylines and what happens when you get married. Of course, gameplay-wise, I think I've done almost everything that I wanted to do in the game besides fulfilling the ARC requirements and getting the 70% collectibles catalog so that Gorman and his company will leave the planetary system alone. I think Farlands is for you if you want a simplistic farming sim adventure with minimal systems and a fast-paced gameplay loop set in space. The days are relatively short due to the space travel times, and there aren't any processing machines like in other farming sim games. If you're looking for a cozy time where you don't have to think about putting grapes in a keg to make artisanal wine or the quality of animal products, then this game is sure to please. It's super easy to pick up and play as it does not demand so much of your time or memory. Additionally, the relationships are a strong point in the game, so you'll be happy if this is an aspect of a farming sim game that you like. The game has a lot of charm and personality that offsets the simpler gameplay mechanics. Well, there you have it. What do you think of Farlands? Is this game for you? Did the review help you off the fence to make a decision on whether or not you want to get the game? What are you most interested in? Should I marry Spike or Elliot? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you like what I do and you want to see more, consider liking and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I love farming sim games and I'm always on the lookout for new ones, so feel free to leave me a suggestion on what you want me to cover next. With that, I am refueling my spaceship and going to find the rest of the collectibles. Take care. Bye.